What's up, gamers? Welcome to the Battle Mallet Podcast, a podcast delving into the minds of four busy gamers, their annual trip to the Nova Open Convention, the games that they love, and balancing life with those games. I'm Jerod.
I'm Trace.
And I'm Jason.
And this is episode 5, Cracked Glass Unchained. And we've given the episode that name because our anchor, our governor, Mr. Timekeeper himself, Danny, is not with us for this episode, and he's not going to be with us probably for the next episode. He's doing something, I don't know, like kind of important.
It's
like
not important.
Getting
whatever.
married or something, and is busy, whatever that means.
Nah, he's making a great decision.
That's right.
We really like Sarah. We're really happy that he's happy. So he can take all the time he needs.
Yep.
Plus, it gives us more time to talk about Shadespire
Oh
Underworlds.
my gosh, yeah. So with that in mind, we're probably going to go a little long this episode because we don't have Danny telling us to stop talking about Underworlds. And with the announced,
So excited.
the announced warbands.
Oh, I need my pirates.
Yeah.
Sky pirates.
Oh, those
I'm just
truthful.
excited that there's no one here to reel me in under my Underworld's excitement. I finally get to spread my wings and fly.
Oh, soar like an eagle, Jason. Soar like an eagle. So
Kelly on.
well, maybe not do that. Let's not get our R. Kelly on.
It's not even R. Kelly that does that. It's Seal.
No,
But whatever.
even worse.
Even worse.
And even
worse.
yeah.
Moving on. So in this episode, we are going to cover Ylthari's Guardians and Thundrik's Profiteers. Kind of, we'll go over the community, the articles that were on the community page, and kind of give our thoughts and what we're really excited about. But before we jump into that, we'll talk a little bit about the community survey that came out, and our thoughts on the state of 40K, the state of Age of Sigmar, the state of Underworlds,
the state of GW.
The state of GW, and this awesome opportunity that they've given us to provide feedback.
Yep.
But before we dive into all of the juicy stuff, what's everybody been up to lately?
Well, I've been priming and painting flesh tones.
Yeah, you
for
have.
the past couple days. So as you guys who have listened to the previous episode of the show probably know, Jerod and I are planning on doing some doubles events at Nova. And one of the things that we've decided to do was to play Khorne and Beastmen for the Age of Sigmar doubles. So what we decided to do was, since I have access and ease of painting with my airbrush, I decided to kind of lay down some skin tones for all the guys that we're going to be painting, and got all the bloodbound skin tones painted up and took those over to Jerod so he could start working on them. So
Yeah, dude, you cranked those out, man.
Yep, I painted about
Is it like 30?
Closer to 40 different bare-chested barbarians.
Yep.
and some goats. So what we decided to do was kind of have the skin tones match, and then like the fur will be a distinguishing factor for me, and then the armor and stuff will be a distinguishing factor for the stuff that Jared's going to paint. One of the best parts about this is that Jerod gets to paint some of my models for me, which is
That's true.
always awesome. It's a nice little win-win. And I mean, are you excited to paint them? It's something different
I
for
am.
you?
Yeah,
I
so,
think it's going to be fun.
I've painted some skin tones, but not like a lot. Like it's mostly just been like heads on Space Marines, and then other than that, it's been like lizard skin or
Yeah, these guys are blue.
animal skin. So painting a lot of flesh tones. We're seeing what it looks like, because the only thing I'm gonna end up doing is doing some edge highlighting on them to kind of pull up the variations in the flesh tones. But there's a lot of cloth, a lot of tattered cloth, which I don't paint a lot of, and then the really like on the Blood Warriors. No, they're not Blood Warriors. What are the guys with the flails? The crazy guys?
Oh, the Wrathmongers.
Yeah, the Wrathmongers have like the kind of the ornate chaosy armor that's like super trimmed. So that'll be a new thing for me.
Paint the trim first.
Yep.
It's as
Then do the armor
chaos
plates.
veteran, paint the trim first, because if you try and get in there and get detailed with it after you've painted your armor, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it. So, don't be super sloppy with it, but like get in there and don't be afraid to get it on some of the armor plates. Like,
Right.
it's just
Well,
really.
the armor plates are going to be black, and black is a great
Yep.
color to cover, so that'll help.
Yep.
Listen, I hope you prick all your fingers on those spikes and that you bleed out, you traitorous scum.
Listen, Lord Inquisitor,
Dark
go
Angel.
sit in your corner and brood about something that the Emperor should have done a long time ago.
Dark Angel.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I've been doing for the most part, and I've also been putting together some Bulgors with great axes, because that's
those
in
came
our
in.
list. Yeah, they got it. They got here, so I picked those up. I actually picked those up the same day that I brought the Bloodbound to you, actually.
Sweet.
So those came in. I started building those. I've got 3 more to build. I'm not going to put those on bases yet. I'm going to paint them. I found some new paint tech that I'm really enjoying doing, because it's super easy and allows me to like keep everybody in one place, which is just go get some paint sticks from Lowe's and use some double-sided tape. And put some double-sided tape down on your paint stick, and you can kind of assembly line paint stuff really, really well, and it stays stable, and it's been a nice little touch. And Jerod got 6 or 7 Bloodbound popsicles delivered to him.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an easy way to go through, and it keeps them all in the same place. I'm not worrying about loose models floating around.
And it also helps you keep your skin tones in order too. Like, I didn't really get to explain this to you because it was kind of raining when I dropped them off. But the lighter skin tones, like, they kind of went from front to back. But like, we've got 5 different colors.
I think so.
Like base skin tones on there, which will be really nice and nice variation. And when we get all the armor done, it'll be a nice little tie-in.
Yep.
So I'm excited.
About it. Yeah, it should be good. So my part of that has been I started working on some Shattered Dominion.
Yep.
Is that the name of the Shattered Dominion bases?
Yep.
And we're using it was Peachy's technique, right, for the realm of Shamon.
Yeah, we're doing the Michael Jackson realm.
Yeah. So it's lots of
Realm of
dry
Metal.
brushing, which is super fast.
Yep, it's Realm of Metal, but it looks super good because you're doing metallics over a black base, which is really nice.
Yep.
And we decided to kind of embellish those a little bit. So Jerod got to expand his paint line.
I know. I bought like 8 paints yesterday.
No.
Nihilic Oxide, Typhus Corrosion, Sycorax Bronze.
Wait a minute, even the painter has those paints, you slacker. Because everyone, I paint so much.
You paint a lot.
But I still own those.
Oh, if I had known that, I'd just come to your house and grab them.
Yeah, just stole them.
Probably.
So anyway, but as far as for me, that's all I've gotten done.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
It's all hobby progress.
Oh, and probably part of the reason for that is that I'm going to move. So my wife and I have an accepted offer on a house. So we're going to move from living about 40 minutes away from Jason to like 15 minutes away from Jason.
Yes.
And the teasing / coaxing for me to try and move that way has already started.
Woohoo!
I mean, could you just imagine what our lives would be like?
We could record
so
like in person instead of on
God,
Skype.
that'd be crazy.
There's a ranch right down the road, and
I know. I showed that to Jenny, and she was just like, "Really?" I was like,
swing set, roller coaster, bounce house in the backyard. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
No, that's for us, not for the kids. That's for
that's for us. Yeah, the kids are inside playing Warhammer.
Yeah.
Warhammer Kinder Worlds.
No, super happy for you, man, and super happy to have you guys down here to be closer. So
yeah.
Now I'm the outsider. Thanks.
Trace, you've always been the outsider. Don't kid yourself.
It's true.
You're the one that decided to move an hour away.
Well, I got so much more house for our money.
That's true. You got so much more commute for your money too.
Well, the commute I was willing to deal with because my wife doesn't have to commute.
Yeah, that's fair.
True statement.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so
Anyway,
Jason, I know there's something that you want to talk about, something that we did as a group.
yes. So we done did it, folks, in honor of Danny, and
We done did it.
we done did it.
We done it.
We beat the Blackstone Fortress last week, so that was our gaming night. Thank you again, Danny and Sarah, for hosting us.
Yeah.
But as always, a lovely time. And we opened that vault. We got that super secret stuff. You remember that time when we did that thing and we got that stuff, and
we opened that envelope and redacted.
We will not divulge how we achieved said goal.
Redacted.
Yeah.
For those who have not played through it yet, problem solve for yourself. This is not a gamer's guide show.
Yeah,
so
right.
For those of you who came to get tips on this, leave.
Yeah, we ain't Brady Games.
No, the last mission was a lot of fun. Wow. Thank goodness we had the warband that we did, and I don't know how we would have finished it doing it a different way than what we had, but
and luck also aligned for us like almost perfectly, which in the last scenario, you got whoever's playing it will see, but there's a certain luck element that's there environmentally, and it just it lined up perfectly for us. So
yeah, it really, really did. We passed the rolls that we needed to pass, and we failed the rolls we needed to fail.
Yep.
And more importantly, if you haven't played Blackstone Fortress, there's this whole initiative track, and throughout the campaign, guys, that initiative track really helped us. Really helped us. So it was we were very fortunate in our endeavors on Precipice and in the Blackstone Fortress. So
and now we're excited about the Amble. So that's the next step.
I think we've got the tools to kill the Amble though now.
We will see, but that'll have to wait for Danny to come back, because the fact that he's gone, I get to talk about all my other hobby progress that I've had. I have assembled more 40K miniatures, so I did those autocannon flying Space Marine guys.
How'd that go?
Yeah, it went like this. So Jason's assembling. And then I got that cool new tool that I posted on Facebook where it holds them and glues them to the base, because I hate those bases. Mm-hmm. And then after I did the second one, I was like, oh, shoot shenanigansness. How am I supposed to prime this model? And so then I ripped it off, which is fine because they fall off easily. But there's a little plastic tab on the bottom of that flying base. Yeah, that's gone now. So when they are painted and have to go on the bases, I may be cursing a lot.
Okay, just do yourself a favor, okay? Go get some of the Ryza pattern ruins.
No, we're gonna do it.
Just have them float over top of it.
Nope, I want them.
Their toe down.
Brass rod
through it. Pin it. Do it old school. Don't use those silly bases.
See, but then I have to rebase the other three models I have because they all have to match. And in all joking aside, I hate those flying bases, but I do like that they're acrylic and see-through.
They are cool.
So, I do want to use them, and I'll probably just have to drill a little hole in the backpack so I can get a little more seed element into it, and then they'll be fine. And then other than that, I've started, so everything's assembled, getting ready to paint. So I've started to glue on Pop Goes the Monkey, Crimson Fist emblems onto their shoulder pads.
Nice.
Because all my Primaris have those, so just keeping with that.
Too bad we'll have to edit that out.
Never. And then other than that, I've been really focusing on Underworlds deck crafting with Jerod. We our local community is holding a modified tournament to allow new players to come in, and if anyone's not familiar with that kind of format, is you must build a deck with only the warband cards, so your faction specific ploys, objectives, and power, and then you only are allowed access to universal cards from the starter sets, which would be Shadespire or Night Vault, And then the organizer is also allowing us to have access to Echoes of Glory and the Leaders card pack. So that really changes the game up, and it actually takes you back to basics, which has been refreshing.
Yeah.
A little stale from the Glory standpoint,
Yeah.
but it gets you back to like thinking a couple moves ahead, because you just don't have enough whatever it is you need. You don't have enough movement. You don't have enough damage. So you really have to get back to the basic mechanics of the game, and it's been fun. I mean, Jerod, what have your been thoughts? You've been playing like 5 or 6 games that way, so
Yeah, no, I mean it's been good, and the glory has been decidedly lower than it normally is, and but the games have all been closer. I don't think that the glory differential in any of the games that we played have deviated like outside of 4.
yeah, it's
Um,
been
and the last game we played was 7-7, and you won because you were on 2 objectives, and I had 1 model on an objective. So, the back to basics has been refreshing. Just having objective token based objectives in the deck has been, and I mean it's been kind of nice to kind of slow the game down a little bit and not make it this frantic rush to get the glory train rolling as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I really think for our community, it's going to do a lot. So what it does for our listeners, it allows newer players access to a more quote unquote balanced event. Like they just don't need to know as much or have to look out for, rebounds and traps and stuff like that. It allows them to then buy in at a lower rate, so they could buy the Shadespire or Nightvault box and then their Warband box, and for what, $80 they can get in and have a good game at a tournament setting. So that's what we'll do next week Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good.
And I'm looking forward to like getting some more games in with you guys. I'm just been painting a bunch, which is the reason why I haven't been on as much. So get on and hanging out. So
Yep. No, it's good. Cool. Well, anybody got anything else?
Nope.
Danny, we miss you. We miss you, Danny. So we'll take a break, and when we get back, we'll dive into the community survey.
Awesome. Welcome back. So it's that time of year again, guys. It's time for the GW Community Survey.
Survey.
Survey says...
Sisters of Battle.
Well, that's what got them before. Everybody's feedback ended up causing that to happen, which is great, which means that GW is listening, which is the reason why we play this hobby in the first place, is to hope that we get stuff that we want. So, and it's also for the enjoyment of it. But, that's just a side note. The enjoyment of it's secondary to getting what we want.
That's right.
I
want it now.
Right. I want it yesterday. I was really kind of impressed with how long the survey was this year. Last year I did it, I don't remember it being quite as lengthy as it was. Had all the typical questions of like, how did you start the hobby? What was your first faction?
Yeah.
All those fun things. So if any of you guys haven't done it yet, which I know you two have, but anybody who's listening hasn't gone and done the community survey on the Warhammer community page, please go do so. If we all talk about the same thing, then it's got a pretty high likelihood that it'll get done. So what did you guys think of it?
No, it was good. The length was good, and it was unexpected though. I sat down to do it, and I figured it was going to take me, 10, maybe 15 minutes. And I think by the time it was done, it was probably 25 or 30 minutes. One of the things that I really appreciated was all of the open-ended text fields that allowed you to elaborate on your feedback. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine what it's going to be like to try and go through and parse out all of the information that comes out of those.
Yep. Yeah. Mine took me an hour because everything that said other, I put my own answers in. Sorry, GW, but I am I like my games multiple ways. I cannot be fit into a slot, even though it says, what way do you prefer? And you give me the perfect options. I want more. Yeah, that was my biggest struggle. Was the question was worded in a certain way. It's like, do you like narrative play? Do you like match play? Do you like open play? Like, but the question is, what way do you prefer? Not one like what ways do you play? And I'm like, well, I play all ways, but I want this mix. And next thing I know, it was literally like 45 minutes later. I'm like, probably should change my answer so this actually makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably not going to read a dissertation, Jason.
Well, I'm very passionate about what I love.
Yeah.
I love me some plastic crack.
Yeah.
This is not me complaining about anything in particular, but I did kind of voice my opinion on something that's been kind of a hot button issue with some of the Chaos players about the Havoc's box, and the fact that they only put one of the chain cannons in there. I was like, it's not like, we understand that you want to sell these kits and stuff, but it kind of feels bad. Like, it's not it's not anything that's going to keep me from buying those kits, obviously, but for somebody who's just starting out into the game and they think that they have to, for those who don't know better, know to like learn how to convert and do some other stuff and be resourceful with other hobbies, other hobby bits and stuff, that could be a feel bad experience. And so it just feels kind of like a cash grab a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And I think that this is a great point that, this type of platform that GW gives us is to voice that opinion, and this is the right way to do it. But I think we have to remember the way that the design process works at GW. That sprue was created before the rules were written. Right. And the rules writers wrote a cool rule for something that the designers thought, the staples are probably what they're going to pick. And then who knew that this Gatling cannon was going to be the greatest thing since the Eye of Terra, or Terra ripped open and started this whole funness we're in. But it is, I think that's what happened, is this new weapon appeared on the sprue. The rules writers hit a home run. Right. And then we're left in the situation we are.
But I just think that there's a certain level of flexibility that they have, though, post the rules writing. Like, because the way that they design the sprues and stuff, it's all digital now. Like, you can remap the sprue.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that they, if anything that I think should have been the single out in there would have been the autocannon, right? Because you've got an autocannon in the Shadowspear box. So it just makes sense for it be like the logical purchase would be get the Shadowspear box, there's an autocannon in there, and then get the Havoc's kit, there's an autocannon in there, so you can put two autocannons on your tactical squad or your Chaos Space Marine squad or whatever. And then you'd have two of every other option in the box. That's just my humble opinion about it. Just knowing the way that the other kits were designed, like, there's a level that's like, yeah, like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, like, you knew what was going to happen. Yeah. So, there's a little bit of I'm not going to say like a shame on you, GW kind of thing, but like, I think they could have handled that a little bit better based off of other kits that they knew they were designing. But that's just me.
Yeah, the standard is 2, right? Like, I mean, even when grav cannons came out, you got 2. So I agree with you. I just, I know now that they're being a little more transparent, the design process, the model comes first and then everything else comes later. So yeah, but great point. And hey, what a great format to share it in with the survey, right? Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Just really want.
There's been, how many years of no good way to provide any kind of meaningful feedback that, even has a chance to be read.
Yeah. And now every year we get an opportunity to voice our concerns, to voice our praises and all that fun stuff. So.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely took the opportunity to voice a couple of opinions. I mean, the first one, was around 40K, and like, you know, the rules and making them a little more digestible, because, you know, for someone that's been in 40K for as long as we have, or I have, and the rules right now, if you don't keep up with them on a monthly basis, can get a little overwhelming to get back into the match play side. Now, granted, if you're playing narrative, you just play with whatever you got or whatever you know, and I'm fine with that. But to get fully bit back into the competitive side, that's some dedication, especially for the new player. So I made sure that was known, as that I don't think it was accessible as you had intended, even though the basic rules are awesome and super simple. But there could be a little bit of book bloat. I won't call it rules bloat, but book bloat, maybe getting there. And then I definitely a few times wrote in there, please make a full army of Godsworn Hunt. So, yeah.
I think that's a valid suggestion.
I'm inclined to agree with you, though, Jason, about some of the book bloat. And I think it's less of a like game as a whole design problem. It's more of a number of factions and how many things you have to do to keep up with all those factions kind of problem that we're in now. Like, because all those books are written at different times. And so, you know, even though and it's just amazing to me that they released every single codex within like a year and a half, which is just crazy.
Amazing.
You know, you think back to what, 5 years ago, like you got a codex maybe every other month, maybe. And even longer than that, earlier than that. So the fact that every book just about is out, except for Sisters of Battle at this point, right?
Right.
We're completely caught up without Sisters of Battle. But like, that's insane. But the problem is that those rules that are in those newer books, it's the classic like codex creep, even though they were written so close together. And you know, with the Vigilist stuff, we're kind of getting a peek into like what they're trying to do to try and stem that instead of making all brand new books. So they're like updating the books that we have, and this is definitely a more like compartmentalized and like modular system that they have now, as opposed to what they had before, because of the way that they've got like all your vehicles have wounds and stuff, so those are very easily adjusted. But I mean, I definitely agree with you that it does feel a little overwhelming, especially for somebody who's starting new.
Yeah, and I once again, thank you for giving us this format to provide our feedback.
Yeah.
And I just look at it as like, I read the main rule book, then I read my codex, then I find the FAQ, and then I find the supplement, which is absolutely fine. It is a lot of content, and we want that content. But anyone that knows me, for me to be involved in the game, I have to know almost every rules interaction with that game. And, you know, not being dedicated to just 40K over the last year, it is a little bit overwhelming. But anyway, I got a chance to voice it, and, you know, I definitely did, and I appreciate that, GW. And the last 2 points that I really emphasized were, one, Grand Clashes need to go to a like winner one end undefeated person, not this 4 and pair down. So it was great to have that voice, because that is a problem with most Grand Clashes. For those of you that don't know, for Underworlds, Grand Clash, no matter how many players it is, whether it's, you know, 20 or in some cases 90 or 100, you play 4 games, and then they pair down to the best 2, which means that you're often left with, you know, 3-4 people that are undefeated at the end of the day, and, you know, 2 of them don't get to play for the glass and the glory that is a Grand Clash. So I loved being able to express that. And last piece was, it wasn't my idea, it was their idea, but man, a unique miniature as a reward for Underworlds, like a chase piece in their kit, that would be awesome.
That would be good. That's a good idea.
That would be a really cool idea. Like every kit, there's like an inspired version of a character.
Oh man,
Wouldn't that be neat? That'd be cool.
Like all
it was
sculpts.
in there.
Yeah,
it was in there. So
that's a good idea.
Jerod, any major points for you that you hammered home?
So to kind of piggyback off of yours, Jason, the idea of the book bloat, something that they've started to do with Age of Sigmar is all of the data sheets or war scrolls for Age of Sigmar are available for free. And I think doing something like that for Warhammer 40K would go a long way towards alleviating the sense of not knowing what's going on. Because if you were to drop, I don't know, like a Necron Heavy Destroyer in front of me right now, I would have no idea what it does. Like, I couldn't tell you what its move range was, what its weapons range was, weapon strength. Like, I wouldn't know any of it. I could probably take a stab at some of the base stats, but just because I've been out of the loop, I haven't been playing 40K regularly like you, Jason. I end up in a situation where if I even playing a pickup game, I may get a negative play experience because a gotcha that wasn't even intended to be a gotcha occurs. So some sort of digital or PDF form of all of the data sheets for every unit would go a long way. But I went one step further and recommended that they actually do like a subscription model for the rules.
That's a good idea.
like a digital subscription. So you pay, your whatever, your $3 a month, $5 a month, $7 a month, and you get a rolling update of all of the, specialist detachments, all of the codices. You get a rolling update of all of the campaign, the new missions. That would include all of the chapter approved. And it would give them, if it's digital, it would give them a way to bundle the ever-growing designer's commentary and errata into the rule set, so that there's no confusion about, well, what's the most up-to-date? What is the rule actually supposed to say?
And it also provides them a revenue stream for them to hire somebody to manage that if they did it that way.
Yep. And the point that I made was that they already make the best miniatures in the biz. Like, let's let go of the profits of printing media and let's get profits from digital media. Like, you don't need the profits from your print media. That's not where you're making the bulk of your money.
Well, but I still want my book.
Right.
Well,
that's what I was
the book
say.
should still be available for purchase, but it shouldn't be the only way to get the rules.
No, I agree with you.
I agree with that. One thing to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, Jerod, like, it just kind of, what you said triggered a question that I remember answering a certain way in the survey, which was release a official army builder for 40K. Like, you have your official army builder for Age of Sigmar that updates on the rules. We'll pay whatever to have the access to do that.
Well, and War Scroll Builder on the community site, that even has the points, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And
so does Azir. Like, if you subscribe to Azir, it does the same thing. You can build everything, and that's a GW run.
Because there's a roster builder on the community site, but it only does power level.
It only does power level, and
it
doesn't get updated very often.
And you don't get rules because the rules aren't available for free.
It is just a these are your power level. This is what you can put in your list. Like, release something that has the full interactions with each other, stats, everything.
Yeah.
Again, subscription based. That would be fine.
Yeah.
I promise you that people will pay.
Yeah, we're not asking for GW to give their content away for free.
Or if you don't want to manage it, just buy the person who does Battlescribe. He'll do it for you.
Well, maybe. I mean, Battlescribe's community driven.
It is community driven. But what I'm saying is, like, there are plenty of, like, the people who drive even Quartermaster. Quartermaster is, I like using Quartermaster, but not a lot of people use Quartermaster.
Right.
But it's a, very similar thing. Like, it's all community driven, but was designed by one person, and that person was like had the foresight to know that this is a needed resource. Why can't the company that makes the game produce it? Like, you've talked about it for 2 years now. Just do it. Like,
that's true. They've been talking about a 40K app.
They have been, and I think they're developing it. And before I get a little too far, Jerod, I'd like to change my survey question to what you suggested with the subscription thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I think that ties into what Trace is saying with the army builder. Like, why isn't it there? We know it's coming or it's been worked on, but I think that their content release is so fast that it would be very hard to keep up for this one point, because it's GW official. If they make a mistake in that, like where you use Battlescribe, there's mistakes all the time. Well, you shouldn't be using Battlescribe. You should be using your books because, like, it's community driven or whatever it is. They produce something and there's a mistake in there, that becomes like, well, no, the GW app, it says right here that I can, I can do this. And I think that's what they struggle with, is the content release is so quick, and then keeping that army builder up to date.
Yeah. Well, and what they did for War Scroll Builder is they basically bought out the dude that ran it.
Mm-hmm.
So but the great thing is like within a week, like when that book's out, like when the book's officially out, they update the War Scrolls on the day of pre-release, right? So the day of pre-order, all the War Scrolls on the app, on the official app, upgrade to whatever they are. So like you'll get a notification on your phone saying, this app needs to be upgraded or whatever, and it goes to the most current version of the War Scrolls. A week later, once you have the book in hand, is when War Scroll Builder, the free app on the website, updates. So just pay somebody to manage it.
But that, I think for 40K they would have to monetize it, and 40K releases are, in my opinion, are a lot faster. Like, there are a lot more content than there is for Age of Sigmar. Like, we've been getting a lot of Battletome updates, but those are just, basically refreshing into the new edition, not actual new rule interactions. And there's just a lot of people with 40K. So I'm making an excuse for them. But once again, this is about the survey. And thank you for allowing us to have a voice in the hobby that we love and adore and spend hours and hours talking about. So
So the one other thing that I mentioned is it would be really good to see them continue to move towards a modernized tabletop rule system. So it's already alive and well and active in Warhammer. Anybody that plays Warhammer Underworlds knows this. The alternating activations. Kill Team. They're moving in that direction. If I had to put dollars to donuts, I would be willing to wager that Warcry is going to move in that direction. But
curious.
You are Warcry curious.
Jerod and I are gone.
Yeah, we're totally all in. But to see, and I'm not a rules writer, and I cannot imagine what it would be like to have been working on a system that has been largely the same for the better part of 3 decades, and try to shift that into something that is in line with an alternating activation system. But one of the poorest experiences that you can have as a Warhammer 40K or Age of Sigmar player is that all of the time that it takes for your opponent to move through all 4 or 5 phases of their turn before you really get to make any decisions. Yes, you're interacting because you're rolling your armor saves or you're rolling
you're just
whatever.
Let's just be honest.
Until you get to the combat phase. And, Age of Sigmar has done a good job with the alternating activations in the combat phase, right? Charging doesn't matter in Age of Sigmar. It's whoever's player turn gets the first choice, and then we go back and forth. And that's, and I think that's a good way to balance that. But 40K doesn't do that. All of the units that charge first get to activate first, and then it's back and forth. But back and forth again, starting with the player whose turn it is. So if you had 3 units that charged and another unit in close combat. Well, all 3 of your charged units will get to activate, and then your 4th unit that was already in combat gets to activate before your opponent gets to do anything. And so it just, I mean, to be completely blunt, it's boring. It's not fun to sit there and watch your opponent move, 180 gaunts across the table and then roll whatever 3 times 180 is, 560 dice, because all of those gaunts have devourers. And then for you to sit there and go through all of that, and then you get to roll, your saves and pick up models. So moving towards a system, continuing to move in that direction. They're already in that direction. So to give them kudos for that. Kill Team, I'm sure it's a test bed. Age of Sigmar, I feel like the writing is on the wall that a lot of the mechanics of Age of Sigmar are a test bed for the current version of 40K.
Very true.
So I imagine that we're going to continue to see movements in that direction. I just wanted to encourage them to continue to push that way, to modernizing the game system in a way that is not the just base, I go, you go.
Yeah, and can't you wait to see like living psychic powers on the 40K battlefield? It's going to be so awesome.
Freaking like warp maelstroms and
yeah, 'cause it's coming, right? Like we don't know. But like it's so popular in Age of Sigmar that it has to be coming to 40K. That'd be awesome.
Bring back the vortex grenade.
I'm sure there'll be something a little more elaborate than just a dome that you put on
a pre-painted dome
on the board.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I think that those manifestations of magic or in 40K would be really, really cool. Seeing something like, I don't know, I can't even imagine like a warp vortex or something like that would come out would be just really cool. Or there's so many different ways you could go with it.
Like a null zone, literally like just something that you place around your guy just as a marker, like, hey. And most of the librarians are on 32, so it would like fit around it. I don't know. We're pie in the sky now. But Jerod, your points are very valid of continue to develop the game into a modern game.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only counterpoint I have to that is look at how fast events are selling out. So 40K is in a very, very healthy place. We're probably years away from that iteration.
Yeah.
But thank you for voicing that, and we're moving and keep it moving forward, right? So,
yep.
With that, guys, please on our Facebook feed, in Discord, when this airs, shoot us some messages of what your number 1 or number 2 thing was that you provided in the survey. I'd love to get some discussion going with our community out there and what you think is most important and you'd like to see in our wonderful hobby. So.
All 2 of you.
Yeah, right. Mom, let me know what you got going on.
I'm really excited to hear my mom's opinions on.
Sick of seeing
the state of Grey Knights.
Really sick of seeing your obliterator spam, Mom.
Yeah, she's win at all costs if I've ever seen one.
God. Anyway. But thank you guys. So I guess we're gonna take a break real quick, and we'll be back with Crack Glass, right?
Yep.
Unleashed.
Yeah. Sorry, Danny. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. And it is time for the 3 of us to take over the podcast and dive deep into the worlds of the Night Vault and Shade Spire. With Danny not here, we've been waiting for this.
Zero restraint.
Oh, right? Nonstop. And we got huge announcements this week. 2 new warbands. We've been waiting months for it. I know both Trace and Jerod have been looking forward to playing these warbands, and we're going to start out with those pointy-eared tree spirit Ylthari guardians. So
Jerod and I have dubbed them the Treeple.
The Treeple.
Yep. Ylthari, the Trictopus herself.
First impressions, my friend.
Well, I mean, so to back up, I don't know when we've talked about this, if we've talked about this, but when they announced these models, I was immediately in love. Like, just could not like get over how amazing I thought the sculpts were, like the poses, the figures themselves. I love the melding, kind of the lore even behind them, where Alariel has taken these spirits that were captured by Slaanesh, and then she has set them free, and then to make sure that they like are able to persist in their weakened state, she like infused them into these tree things, and so now you have like elven souls living inside of tree things, and it's like just this, super high fantasy, crazy Age of Sigmarness that the whole universe has. So like just visually, historically, like the lore behind them alone was enough for me to be like, okay, this is going to be my warband. As soon as they're released, everything else is going to get put on the shelf. And then you get into the stats, and I'm not going to sit here and read everything, but they're all base move 4, which is pretty good. They're the only 4 model warband that starts at and continues at base 4 move. So we'll just run down. So Ylthari herself, she's a level 2 wizard, a respectable 2 hammers for 2 damage attack. She's got a spell that does 1 damage at range 3, 4 move, 2 dodge, 3 health. I said I wasn't going to run through everything, but I guess that's what's going to happen now.
There you go.
And then, so when she inspires, her spell goes to 2 damage, and she gets a blistering fast 5 move. So that gives her a threat range of 8 with her spell, which is pretty crazy. And so the one thing to note as we go through this is their inspire mechanic is they inspire whenever a gambit, upgrade, action, or reaction would remove 1 or more wound tokens from this fighter, even if they have no wound tokens. So healing potion, the healing spell, if they've got a wound token, because we've been through this, I think as it reads now, Tainted Vitality is not an auto inspire for the entire warband.
Well, what do you mean? No.
We'll get there. I'm happy to just sit here and like I'm going to be like a supervillain right now and just monologue for the rest of the podcast. So every one of the fighters has a reaction on their card, and her reaction, cool. And not a mechanic that we've seen in any other warband. Like they continue to impress. Like they're like, well, what are they going to do different now? What because we saw Mollog's mob with like the giant tanky guy, and then the 3 little Griblies that kind of matter but don't really matter. The Godsworn Hunt with the Inspire mechanic on upgrades, and I mean, kind of the sacrificial play that's built in, right? Jason, there's a card where you can like damage one of your own people and take their upgrade or something.
You can kill somebody to inspire.
Yeah, like mechanics that we had never seen before. So I would not have predicted, every fighter having a reaction on their card, but Ylthari's
unique reaction at that.
That's true. Yeah. So it's not even the same reaction on any of the fighters. So Ylthari's reaction is if she ever rolls a crit in a spell, she gets to remove up to 1 wound token. So if you have her casting a spell and she happens to roll a crit, boom, she's inspired. So maybe not quite as easy as Stormsire, but still pretty good.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like the gambit, the ploys gambits,
right?
Upgrades, they still count. So it's like a bonus, like
right. Yeah, no, you're right. So and then there's the archer,
which is my favorite, by the way.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah, well, I like how angry she looks. Like the model she just looks pissed. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just like the stat line. I like
she's just solid all around, man.
That could be really good combos. And
yeah, I mean to go to 2 dodgement inspired. This is the first fighter that we've seen with a ranged attack that hits on hammers on their card.
On their card, and a non-leader with 4. Like she has, when she inspires, she goes range 4.
Right. Previously, Farstrider was the only one that did that, but he was still hitting on swords.
But he was a leader, and this
Yeah.
is not.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. So her threat range actually jumps to 8 too when she inspires.
Yep.
It's huge.
And the kicker here, right? So range 4, 3 empty hexes between you. You hit, you knock back, and now there's 4 empty hexes between you and your opponent, which means for a lot of warbands at
They
move
can't
3,
charge.
they're not going to be able to return the charge. And then her reaction is cool.
Unless you're Thundrik.
Unless you're Thundrik or Molag. So her reaction on her card is after this fighter's attack action takes an enemy fighter out of action, make another attack action with this fighter. You can only make this reaction once per round. So, she makes a kill shot and she gets to shoot again, which is awesome. And not to be underestimated at range 4 when she's inspired.
Yeah, I mean you just got to think about the combo potential there, right? So like, you set it up with one of your other fighters, like they whittle down this one person. They come in and do one hit, and it takes that fighter down to 1 damage, right? And then you come in, you score, you shoot this, you got to support because you have an adjacent fighter, right? So then you've got damage 1, you cause that 1 damage. Well, now you've scored precise use of force because you killed that thing with 1 damage left.
Well, you wouldn't use precise use of force because it was restricted. You would use take them down or the other one that is 1 damage.
Either way, I'm just giving a generic thing for the people who do not just digest this game all the time.
You mean Danny?
Yes.
When he listens later.
So, but you get to do that. You score a glory. You then can upgrade. And then you can, you react as well. So like, there's just all kinds of cool stuff that you can do.
Yeah. So she could shoot again, and then during the power step, you spend that glory that you just scored.
Yep.
To put on an upgrade, and then you're ready for action. Her.
Yep.
And depending on who you're fighting, like if you're fighting Gitz or you're fighting Night Hunt, you're shooting again. You've already damaged them for 1. Now you're going to hit them for another 1, and you've just gotten yourself another glory. So you've taken out 2 models, potentially gotten 3 or 4 glory
with an activation.
Within 1 activation. Yeah.
Yeah. That 1 reaction allows, there's just a lot of combos for scoring glory as well. Like more chopping, like change of tactics on her. Like, unless you have something that can stop her move entirely, like you're going to get change of tactics really, really easy. Yep. Also the 3 health on this warband, although is a hindrance, on the 3 fighters that have 3 health, it also allows you like, challenge seeker, where you get an extra die. Listen, this warband, I have a lot of ideas
got some
for
tools,
you,
man.
So
well, there's a lot of stuff that's come before. Like there's a lot of the ways that you run your Gods or Not that I think are going to be able to apply to the way that we run these guys. And you mentioned this in chat earlier, Jason, but I am honestly excited to sit down and deck craft with you, and just run through iterations and just play game after game after game and get this really dialed in. So Anslain, the Revenant Archer, she's pretty good. And then Tanky McTankerson himself, Gallingham of the Glade. So move 4, health 4, right? Okay, not too bad. Oh, wait, he's uninspired, but he is on 2 shields.
Yeah, right. I thought the 2 shields were gone from this game.
Nope. Mm-hmm. And then a range 2 attack. So threat range of 6. Suck it, Molag. 2 hammers for 2 damage. So not so bad. It's he's not hitting like Oberyn. He's not hitting like Steelheart. He's not hitting like Gerzag. But his on-card reaction is after an attack action, if there was at least 1 crit in the defense roll, the attacker suffers 1 damage. So he's rolling 2 dice base. Anybody, Jason and Trace, can attest. Yeah, I'm not going to see a lot of crits on my attack rolls, but you want to see me? You want to see me?
Lord.
You want to see me roll some crits? You just hand me some defense dice.
It just that reaction. The reason that I like it, and this fighter, he's good, but I don't like shields because cleave is so prevalent in the game.
Right.
But with 2 dice, can you imagine any of these fighters like, Magor like coming in and like, haha, I have cleave, and then all of a sudden you crit defense, and then you do a damage, and then once again you set him up, like, because he's doing 2 damage, but then more importantly, you set the rest of your warband, because you're looking for that 1 to 2 damage, but preferably most likely 1, because you're gonna have upgrades on the other guys, right? So just totally, it's the best dangle bro bait guy they put out there, and he can still hit, with the best of them.
He hits decent.
Well,
he
he's
is
not
the
getting
lead.
he's not getting one-shotted without tech, right? There's nobody uninspired can one-shot him.
No, but the tech
I mean,
now,
the tech's gonna matter, but
yeah, it's gonna matter too, because even though we're not in a straight one-shot meta like we were back in season 1, we're, because of the troll that will not be named by me, we are going to more damage ramped warbands. Like, that meta is shifting either to the objectives, or shifting back to, I need a lot of damage dealing things. So 4 is like that. You still have to worry at 4. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good point. But when he inspires, he gets knockback 1, which is nice. Get the hints, anyone? And then it gets a sweep attack. So it's not as accurate as most sweep attacks. So it's only 2 dice on swords instead of 3. But it does target all adjacent for 1 damage. But yeah, like, I mean, you wanna really disrupt somebody. Yeah, hidden paths him right in the back. He's got range 2, so you use a push tech to push away. Well, it doesn't matter because I'm range 2, so I'm still gonna thwack you 1 time.
So Jerod, you never really played these guys in Age of Sigmar, but one of the things that we know about the way that they have done these warbands for the most part is they kind of take some keys from the Age of Sigmar stuff. So one of the abilities on the Tree Revenants is they can just pick up and teleport across the board.
Oh.
So
are you thinking like an in-faction hidden paths like thing?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh man.
So I think that just elves in general are going to be super high mobility and elite. Like, that's just the way that they are in every game. Yeah. So I could totally see them doing something like that, where they're like, oh, here's an in-faction hidden paths. And so now you've got like whether you're on an edge hex or whatever, or even if you just start anywhere, like it may even be a better version where you have to end on an edge hex, but you can start anywhere.
Right.
It's totally a thing that they do in Age of Sigmar. So something to consider.
Yeah. Good. I mean, the move 4, I think, is going to be the thing that I'm honestly going to have to get used to, because I spent all of season 1 playing orcs, which were move 3, and then I've spent almost all of season 2 playing Farstriders. So I mean, Farstrider has moved 4, but the other 2 have moved 3.
Yeah, and that's why I think that this warband fits you perfectly. Is one, so you played Farstriders that have similar range in mobility, not as much. Like these definitely have more, but from a range concept, you have really good tech that goes with your Farstriders, kind of like that denial style of deck, right? But then you say, oh, I play orcs, right? Well, orcs, everyone knows that you play Shardgale, so you played with 3-rune fighters already.
Oh, that's true.
So
fair enough.
You have this warband fits right into what you've played the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about the fact that I basically Shardgaled my orcs whenever I got the chance.
Yep.
So it's 2 ploys to instantly inspire the entire warband here, because I guess I could Shardgale and then Tainted Vitality.
Yeah, but that's
you could, but don't do that.
Don't do it. Yeah, it's a waste of ploys, I think. So then the last one that we have, and Trace, I'm going to let you pronounce this because I think you do it the best.
This is Skathael or
no?
Skathael.
There it is. Yep. Yeah. So there's an SKH. So I don't know how that goes. So 1 range, 2 hammers, 2 damage on his attack, 4 move, 1 shield, 3 health. When he inspires, he goes to 3 hammers, which is super accurate, and
really
he
good.
gains cleave. But his on-card reaction is if you roll a crit in the attack, the target suffers 1 damage. So it doesn't add
the target
to the damage.
survives.
If the target survives, right? Yeah. So like, oh, I killed him. Well, okay, great. So the 1 extra damage,
that's fine.
Not needed. But yeah, the fact that you can basically pop him for 3 damage, and when you're inspired, you're rolling 3 dice, and that's, I mean, the way that we play, as soon as you get to more than 2 dice, you're not looking for successes. You're fishing for crits anyway.
Fishing for crits, yeah. I mean, like I said this to you before, but like it's essentially like a built-in lightning whip or pit trap. Like you've just got a great way to just additional. I mean, in this every time, right?
Yep.
And if you just even add,
it doesn't cost me a ploy. It doesn't cost me
for free.
An upgrade. Yep.
It's crazy good.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing that I haven't even considered, is the fact that most of these reactions are things that would cost other warbands an upgrade.
Yes.
Yep.
Or a ploy.
Or a ploy. Yeah. So I've got built-in ploys and upgrades that so some of them are only 1 round, right? So her Onsling's extra shot is once per round. But the rest of them are not limited.
But all these other ones, like if you ready for action them, you get to do it again. Like they're so good.
All right, so let's talk for a minute about inspiring them, right? So things that come to mind, and we're gonna trickle in here for a second into the ploys and stuff that were upgraded. So, healing potion is a no-brainer, right? At 3 and 4 health, right? There's a chance that I'm gonna take 1 damage, which definitely puts me within 1 shot, or easily puts me in 1 shot, or I'll take 2 damage, which definitely puts me within 1 shot. So healing potion, I think, is going to be in my deck.
Yes.
Because there's a chance I'll take 1 damage from something, and if I can heal that out, then it might pull me out of 1 shot range. The other thing that it does is it inspires me. So they've got a faction specific healing potion called Healing Amphora, which is choose a friendly Gallingham or friendly fighter adjacent to a friendly Gallingham and roll a defense dice. And then from there, it works exactly like healing potion. So it always removes 1. It may remove up to 2. And then Jason, the one that you were absolutely gushing over this is a ploy, Leech Power. Play this only if a friendly Ylthari is holding an objective. So it only works if the leader is on the objective. Mm-hmm. But remove that objective from the battlefield and remove up to 1 wound token from that Ylthari fighter's card. So I'm removing an objective. Screw you, supremacy.
So good.
Yep.
And I'm inspiring my fighter and potentially healing her if she's taken some damage. So, I mean, it seems to me like the Leech Power, I think I'm going to have to see what the infatuation objectives look like. Although the one that they leaked, Glade's Last Hope, score this in an end phase if at least 3 wound tokens were removed from the fighter cards of friendly fighters in the preceding action phase. So I think that one's going to be iffy for me. Number 1, it's an end phase. Number 2, the wound tokens actually have to be there. Mm-hmm. So that one's going to be iffy. But the other in-faction objectives, I think, are going to determine whether Leech Power makes it into my deck. But Healing Amphora, I think, is going to be a no-brainer. Because I can either I play a ploy and to inspire Gallingham or somebody that's adjacent to Gallingham and potentially heal them if needed. What are your thoughts on Inspiration Strikes or Regal Vision? Is that something that I consider?
Well, so here, just to elaborate on why I really, really like that.
The Leech Power.
Leech Power is okay. So you move her to an objective, you inspire her, and she has range, so that objective is probably a charge, right?
Okay.
So then you charge, you attack, you go into your power phase, you play that, and then you can have Scorched Earth in your hand, which is score this immediately if your warband removes an objective from the battlefield.
Okay.
So like it's a great, for me, it's an awesome combo where you're gonna do an attack, hopefully deny an objective based, warband the objective on the board, and and I'm gonna score a glory too.
I didn't realize that Scorched Earth was score immediately.
Yep, it is. Yes. Yep.
Love me some score immediately. Okay. Cool. So maybe Leech Power does stay in there.
Well, and since we've seen kind of a return from the larger warbands to more of a objective-based meta, like that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you look at Adepticon and these where they need to score, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 warbands that were really at the top, and I'm glad that they're there, but this allows you to to do everything you want to do. Like you have your range, you go attack, you heal or don't heal, or you just play it. You kill that objective, then you score an objective, and then it helps you go to the other infaction where the 3 wounds.
Oh, so here's something that I just realized, right? I just scored an objective in the power step.
Yep.
So I could get a glory. And, obviously the cards would have to line up for this, but I could upgrade her.
Yep.
And play ready for action.
Right.
Yeah.
And either move her back or attack again.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of combos.
I was excited before, and now we've started talking. I'm even more excited.
So to continue down the path you're going with all these heals, so that gives you 3 heal tech in your ploy deck, which really is 3 inspiration strikes or regal vision. Like, I don't think you need to play another one, just because of that. And then with her, if you don't inspire her in that way, like she does have a built-in auto inspire, like with the crit on the cast, right? So
yeah. No,
and I would hearken to say to, like, since that's the key driver of your inspiration mechanic, she's probably going to have an upgrade that allows her to do like a heal spell every turn.
That would be cool, because I was thinking about the healing spell, which is not terribly difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a 50-50 on 2 dice.
Yeah.
For her.
I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily something that you automatically include in your deck, depending on what it is, but
So the other one that would be worth including, though, to drive down Jason's path would be the Avasas Unmaking.
Yes.
So I have 2 ways to score the Scorched Earth.
Scorched Earth. Yeah.
And 2 ways to inspire, because it's a spell. So if she rolls a crit, or does it have to be an attack? Does it have to be the spell attack action?
No,
I don't think so.
When she successfully casts a spell.
There you go. 2 ways to inspire her.
Yep. When she successfully casts a spell with a critical. Yeah.
And if I'm putting Avasas Unmaking, might as well put Avasas Withering in there.
Well, and then you also need to put the spell in there that reduces all damage by 1.
Oh, the Mystic Shield or whatever.
Yeah. And I don't know. We will actually have to get them on the board and start
we'll
playing
definitely play.
Yeah, because I think there's a trap in the let's put all the spells in there.
Yeah, with the spells, because she's the only caster, and then the only downside to this warband, other than the 3 health, is like putting those healing ploys in your deck, because if you do get one-shotted with the 3 health, like they lose their value quickly, because you can put them on your other people, but are you going to really heal somebody a few times? But there is another glory, and we've never really seen it played, a glory card called Charmed Life. And it is if you remove at least 3 wound tokens from a single fighter, that fighter was not taken out of action in the preceding action phase, it's 2 glory. So, and it's 2 glory is good.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tougher to pull off, but I think it's going to take some testing. Like we don't know what the other in-faction upgrades are. We don't know what the in-faction gambits are. We don't know the in-faction objectives. So, speaking of in-faction gambits, so they leaked 3. So one is the Curse of Dwindling. So gambit spell on channels. That's the lightning bolts, zaps, if you will. So it takes 2, but if this is cast, choose an enemy fighter within 5 hexes. Oh my gosh, 5 hexes.
5, yeah. They moved these to 5, because normally these type of gambits are 4. So this is great to see.
Yeah.
5. This is in faction, so this goes back to the how spelly the pointy ear people are.
Yep. So that fighter's attack actions have -1 dice.
Very helpful.
Oh my gosh, Molog.
Yes, there you go.
50-50.
There's a lot of innate. It depends on the way you want to build the warband. Yeah. And then writhing. So the next one is Writhing Roots. So the first fighter to make a move action in the next activation has -2 move to a minimum of 0. And you're really good at playing the denial style of decks.
That's true. Do Writhing Roots, and then if they want to get KG, do my Baffling Illusion. So now you can scatter around and not get to charge, because it isn't a move action. It's a push, and you gain a move token. Anyway, and so then the last one that they leaked was Mesmerizing Gaze, and I have mixed emotions about this one. So choose an enemy fighter adjacent to a friendly fighter, and then choose one. Remove the fighter's guard tokens, or place a move token next to the fighter. So
to me, the whole point of this card is for G-Man, right?
yeah,
Galligan, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be your dude out front anyway, so he's
Right.
going to have kind of the tech to kind of handle somebody coming up in his grill for the most part.
right.
So, but if that person's Mollog, right, that Mollog's charged, now you put a move token on Mollog, you can't do anything.
And he's shut down.
He's
yeah.
froze, right?
Yep.
So I think that this card is a direct response to some of the two activation things that we've already kind of seen. So
Yeah, and it also is the first card that I'm aware of that can change or stop change of tactics because it removes a guard token.
Yeah, that's
So,
a good point.
yeah,
So even if he misses with his attack, he can still remove that guard token. And
so like it doesn't have to be necessarily a defensive thing. Like if you see somebody go on guard and then you charge them the next turn, remove their guard token, like that's,
or don't even charge, just move adjacent. And remove their move token, and then you're not stuck because he's range 2.
Yep.
Yeah,
Gallingham is anyway, but
we'll see. I mean, that card
we gotta
is
figure it out.
That's on the fence card, but anything that we've seen that like places a move token on stuff, because you can deny somebody a hidden paths into your backfield. There's a lot of play for the move token. So
you're denying Faneway Crystal. You're denying. Yeah, there's a lot. Well, heck, you got somebody on guard. You pop a move token on them. Well, they can't change of tactics anyway.
Yep, true.
So just to kind of come back to a couple of the spells that I think would be potentially good for you, like we already talked about Mystic Shield, but Arcane Shield lasts until the caster's out of action. So like you're reducing the damage taken by 1 till that fighter's gone, right? So that makes your 3 health warband stuff a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, and then you can start tacking on like Potion of Constitution, so you could remove 1 more damage. So now this 3 damage attack that was going to hit my guy is now 1 damage.
And then also don't forget Healing Pulse, because Healing Pulse is a good one too. And you can put that on Galligan, and he's healing a wound at the beginning of each round.
Yeah, healing Pulse. There's a Tome of Regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 3, right? Or no, there's a Mollog specific one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got like a regeneration one.
Yeah,
I mean, don't forget
regeneration.
Regular regeneration too.
Oh, that's true. It's an upgrade that would give me an Inspire.
Yep.
So pop it on during the end phase in round 1.
Yep.
And then beginning of round
that's
2.
A little bit more of a delayed gratification tactic, but just imagine like, and we're going on a little bit of a tangent, but like just imagine having
down the rabbit hole.
But just imagine having all 3 of those on one dude. Like
that's true. Oh,
you're
you just
healing
did 3
3
damage to me.
So that scores you Charmed Life.
That's true. Yep.
So I mean,
I think there's some versatility here.
There is. I mean, they're definitely a toolbox faction, which is right up your alley. So I'm excited to see what you do with them, and I'm excited to help you guys like play through and test out some stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now, first impression for me, knowing your play style is
they're right
they're right for you, and your deck should be built around like healing, your play's healings and dice mitigation. So we take the dice tech that I use for Godshorn and basically 50 healing and dice tech in your ploys, and then your upgrades are based on damage and survivability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even going to move 2, like move 2 with a range 4 fighter is
with range.
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean, and even Ylthari inspired, so she's moved 5, but I give her sudden growth. Now she's suddenly health 5, move 3. She's Gerzag. She's Fuel Grimnir. Just nice. She just doesn't hit as hard, but she has a ranged attack. So,
or my man, we're about to talk about in just a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Speaking of which, I feel like we've kind of exhausted without just going into wild speculation. Yes. So,
we've placed 2 move tokens on this. Let's move on.
Yep. No, well played. Yeah. So we'll take a break here, and when we come back, we'll explore Thundrik's Profiteers. Welcome back. So, yesterday, 2 days ago, Tuesday, we got Ylthari's Guardians. Wednesday, they revealed Thundrik's Profiteers, the Sky Pirate Caradron Overlords.
Arr!
Oh gosh. No, I'm not going to do it. There are a whole slew of pirate jokes. I won't do it in the interest of everyone else's sanity.
Well, in the interest that we're missing the main pirate himself.
That's true. Our pirate angel. R.I.P. Danny. Just kidding. He's not really dead.
Make sure you get your booty on the wedding night, sir.
And I left just enough pause to edit that out. We'll see if I actually do it.
I don't think we will. Balor Mallet Unchained, because Danny's not here.
That's right. No, so as excited as I am about Ylthari's Guardians, I think Trace is probably equally excited, if not more excited, about Thundrik's Profiteers. So I'm just gonna just take it away, dude.
Awesome. No, I've been really excited about these guys ever since I knew that they were going to release them, because I've always just been really kind of intrigued by the Caradron Overlords models. And you know, we're all a little faction curious when it comes to all those games, so this is the perfect opportunity for me to get some of these guys and paint them up and really have a good time with them, just because I think it's just so cool to think about dwarves riding skyships, siphoning gold out of the clouds, basically.
Yep.
Like, how cool is that? I'm sure my wife is upstairs thinking, what is my husband just saying about weird stuff downstairs? But no, I'm super excited about these guys. I think they're really going to be an interesting warband to play, and a far cry from what I have played most of my career as an Underworlds player. They give me an opportunity to play a range warband. The magic stuff's cool. Jason really likes to play the Eyes of the Nine, which was another faction that kind of intrigued me, but he seemed really interested in it, and I was like, all right, I'll just wait. If that's what he wants to play, for the most part, I'll just kind of sit on it and wait for these guys to come out. So we'll kind of go through these really quick. I think they're going to be really, really hard hitting from ranged, because they've got some cool abilities that they can do. And we'll start with the leader, Jorgen Thundrik. He has an atmospheric anatomizer. Good Lord, GW. Range 3, 2 hammers, and 1 damage. And he also has heavy instrument, so he has a melee weapon and his ranged weapon as well. I don't know why you would ever use the melee weapon.
Well, here, I am glad you asked that question, because, in both the new warbands, they have multiple weapon profiles. One's a range and one's like close combat. And it's very important when it comes to dealing more damage, because, a lot of the damage upgrades do not impact anything over 2 spaces.
Right.
So it is really cool that they included a melee option that allows you to boost their damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also not a shabby attack either. It's 2 hammers hitting on, at 1 range for 1 damage. So it's nothing to write home about, but it's not bad either. Some warbands, that's like the best profile you get. So, but he moves 2, classic short legs. He's a stunty. That's what happens. Got 1 shield and 4 health. But when he inspires, that's when the magic happens.
Oh, buddy.
Man. So just like the other dwarf warband, which seems to be, the dwarves to me seem to have the most dramatic upgrade effects when you inspire them.
Yes.
So when he inspires, he goes to 3 move, 2 shields, and 5 health.
Ouch.
Damn you, 2 shields. And
crazy good.
Fuel does not get 2 shields.
He does not.
He has an upgrade.
He does.
+1 defense.
But I don't want to hear your. Try to make me feel.
Oh, I'm not.
No,
I'm trying to make you feel worse. It cost you a glory to get the same profile as Bjorgen.
Shut your mouth.
Jorgen has Fuel's number. So his atmospheric anatomizer has the same range, same attack, but it goes to 2 damage and it gains cleave.
Ugh.
which is like Jason was saying in the previous segment, like this is just another injection of cleave into the game. His heavy instruments, which is his other melee profile that we talked about just a second ago, stays the same. Doesn't have anything really to write home about. Now, to go over the inspiration mechanic for these guys, it's really driven by him. So it says each time you score an objective, this fighter's on the battlefield, you can choose a friendly fighter. That fighter becomes inspired. That's, again, something we didn't expect. Completely different inspire mechanic. What I find really interesting about this is you can have all your dudes inspired in a round if you really get lucky on your draws and you have some score immediately cards in your hand. Like, this could chain pretty quick. And then he also has a reaction, which is probably one of the coolest reactions I've ever seen in the game, because it has a drastic effect on the layout of the boards. So this reaction says, use this after this fighter's activation. In the next activation, enemy fighters treat hexes adjacent to this fighter, other than blocked hexes, as lethal hexes. So just stepping into one of those hexes means you take a damage, which is huge. I drew a diagram earlier today and sent it to these guys of one of the new boards that has the three hexes in a cluster on the side. If you put this guy on the starting hex next to that, you basically block off the entire corner if you are able to set up adjacent, like if you have offset boards.
Yeah, you do the diagonal setup so that your opponents are staring down that triangle of death, and then you set him up, and now you've got the rest crazy of your warband snowman of death.
Yeah, and then you've got the rest of your warband just sitting there and be like, come on in. The water's fine. So I just think he's a really cool fighter. And then I think he has an interesting combo with one of the ploys down below that we'll talk about in just a minute. So what do you guys think about the leader to begin with?
No, he's a beefcake.
I think he's a beefcake too.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that they've put a warband dependent on the leader, right? Because if you lose him turn one, you do not inspire without using card tech the rest of the game. And we've seen that before with guard and how dependent they are on the warden. Skaven on Scritch, the greatest.
Yes.
And we've seen that before where those leaders are very, very important to the warband. But this is really nice that it's not kind of a regen dependency on the leader. It's something different, and he's like a badass. Like 5 wounds when he's inspired.
Yeah, 5 wounds, 2 shields.
2 shields.
3 range for 2 damage.
Yeah.
And cleave.
It's very good. So
yeah, I mean, he's not one-shotting. He's not in the Fjolgrim near, I'm going to do 4 damage with 1 attack. But he doesn't need to, because he can be 3 away.
Yeah. 3-way, push to 4.
Yeah.
Make you have to run 3 in, and then
and
I can do another
hex.
Yeah, lethal hex.
Yeah.
I think the lethal hex is a little bit, you're going to have to use it defensively and play a little bit of shenanigans with it, because it's only in the next activation, so it doesn't allow you to do things in the power step to do push and pulls and all that stuff. But great hidden paths deterrent too. Like, someone comes in hidden paths and then takes the move token off, or Mollog. Like it has its usefulness, but I'm more stoked about the promotion mechanic, and two hammers on 3 away with cleave is awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's really, really huge. So we'll get to the next guy, which is, his name is Deadeye Lund. And so old Deadeye, he starts out the box pretty good. Range 3, 2 hammers, and 1 damage, but he starts with cleave.
Yeah.
Which is huge. He only has a 2-inch move, or 2 hex move, which is typical dwarves. He starts with a shield, and he has 3 health. So, semi-sturdy, not really the most sturdy of fighters. But then when he inspires, he keeps his range, keeps his hammers as his attack characteristic, goes to 2 damage, keeps his cleave, and gains a wound and a move. So the dwarves just when they get their eyes on the prize, man, they get really, really good. He's gonna be a great, like, to me, like, you're gonna have your leader. He's not gonna be out in the front, like, putting himself completely in danger, but he's gonna be in a position to where he's gonna do his action. He's gonna drop those hexes. He's gonna be like, all right, come on in, and then the next thing you know, this guy behind him is gonna be popping you. So I just think there's gonna be some all kinds of, like, cool interactions, because nowhere in their territory is gonna be safe. Nowhere.
Yeah. I think that this guy and the next guy that we'll talk about, Deadeye and Ironhail, which will be the next guy we talk about, are the two critical figures in this warband to start the glory train, which when we get through everybody, I'll kind of talk you through that. But having a fighter with cleave to start, playing the guard, is so big. Even though it's only 1 damage, having cleave to start is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And let's get to the next guy, which Jason just commented about, which is Enric Ironhail. So Ironhail is one of the in Age of Sigmar, he is what would be an Arcanaut Company guy. So he's a little less sturdy, but he has a really cool attack. So his attack is 3 range, hits with 3 slash swords, for those who are looking at the symbols.
Furies.
And he has 1 damage.
I need to interject.
What?
It's very important to note that this is the model that is holding a Gatling gun. He's holding a Gatling gun.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So he has knockback 1 to start, which is really, really good. So we'll get to some of the objectives that I think will work really well with these guys to kind of get them fired up. No pun intended.
See what you did there.
But we've got, so that's his base attack. He has 2 move. He starts with a dodge, 1 dodge, and has 2 health to begin the game. So he's super squishy. So he's definitely not going to be out in the front. He's going to be back supporting other guys. And when he inspires, he keeps his 3 range, but he goes to 4 fury. 4.
Fishing for crits.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, this is the first fighter that I've seen to have a base stat of 4.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't recall, and being that person that plays dice heavy, looking for furies, like, please, yes, you're fishing for crits.
Yep.
And oh wait, you will roll double crits, and then you will score my favorite card of all time.
So he goes to. I'm just gonna keep going on by that because I won't roll crits. Jason rolls the crits. I don't roll crits. But 4 dice for 1 damage. It keeps his knockback 1. Goes to 3 movement. His dodge switches to a shield, and then he gains another health. So the dwarves, like I said, just upgrade really, really big when they get into their mode. There's some cool potential combos with this guy, especially when we get to his specific upgrade in just a minute. We can talk a little bit about some of that stuff and the things that I'm sure Jason's already got cooked up too, because I've cooked up a couple myself this afternoon. But we'll move on to. I mean, what do you guys think about this guy?
Yeah, this is the only one. Like, I love his weapon. I love knockback because with get the hints that we'll talk about. But it is 2 health is really squishy. Mm-hmm. I actually like that they gave him a dodge with 2 health because there's not a lot of things that avoid dodge, especially early game. So actually a dodge is better than a shield in this case, because everyone's going to kill him on 1 shot. and that dodge gives you 33% chance that you can actually save something. So
Right, you're talking about with in the meta of everybody has cleave.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jerod, what are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I think he's good. The 4 dice is, I mean, you're fishing for crits. So, I mean, immediately you're looking at, what's you do an extra damage if you roll a crit? Is that?
Oh, Fighter's Ferocity?
Fighter's Ferocity, yeah.
Fighter's Ferocity. So now that goes to damage 2. You know, you do the double damage thing. So with Fighter's Ferocity, the double damage ploy with Fighter's Ferocity. So now you're damage 3 because, as we learned, multiplication becomes before addition.
Thanks, Abacus.
Yep, right. But the knockback 1 is nice, right? So range 3 with knockback 1. So again, you just put 4 empty spaces between you and your opponent, which knocks a lot of people out of charge range.
Yep. And this guy comes in with the Prince of Dust. So I'm sorry I keep referring back to the warbands that I've played.
That's fine, man.
That's okay.
But that they kind of fit that niche of the guard, right? Like, so you do your thing with your leader, and you kind of set it up a way where now this guy moves in, and everyone's gonna be like, well, they're 2 move or they're 3 move. It doesn't matter when you're range 3.
Range 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
you
have the same threat range as Mollog. Just think about that.
Yeah. 3 range doesn't bother. It doesn't bother Almeric Eagle Eye or Elias Swiftblade.
Right.
So 3 move works well enough there.
So you move them over, like, so you activate your leader, you pop the lethal hexes, you move over, and you then do knockback because you're driving them back 2 spaces, and you might be able to get 2 lethal hexes off, or you may be able to get 1 lethal hex, which then, he's a utility guy, but I do think he'll play into your instant scoring, which you need as well. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then next we get Kazkan, right? Kazkan.
Gas can. Okay, got it.
It sounds like I'm saying a K, but I'm saying a G at the second consonant. Kazgan.
Listen, just go with the gas can.
We'll just say Draxkewer because that's what we're really going to call him.
Yep.
So anyway, this is the guy. So he is your he's not an Endrin Rigger. I can't remember what the other one is. There's another this is the guy with the balloon and the pike.
Yep.
So if you're looking at the pictures and you're listening to this, that's what this model is. So he has a sky pike. It's 2 range, 2 hammers, 2 damage. Nice solid attack. That's a great starting point for a melee fighter. But he also has his pistol. So he's also got a range 3 weapon, 2 fury, and 1 damage. So he can touch you from 7 squares away, or 7 X's away, just like Ylthari can when she starts. Because he has a move of 4, 1 shield, 3 health. And then when he inspires, he goes to his sky pike goes to 2 range, 2 hammers, 3 damage.
Ouch.
And then his pistol stays the same. He gains additional health. That's really the only thing he does. But he ignores lethal hexes and blocked hexes. Like, he can move over people. He can move through pretty much anything to get to where he needs to go. So he's your mobility piece. He's the one that's going to kind of go where you need to support your leader, to support your other fighters who might get in trouble, so on and so forth. So he's going to be a cool little tool in the toolbox.
Yep. Threat range of 6, right? Range 2,
range
weapon,
of 6, yep.
Move 4. And he can fly over people. So
and he's super easy to get to damage 4, which is kind of a sweet spot for a lot of warbands. And then finally we have Jerod Allenson, which is kind of like your mook for the warband. He's range 1, 2 hammers, 1 damage, and then he also has a privateer pistol, just like the last guy. 3 range, 2 fury, 1 damage. Starts with 2 move, 1 dodge, and 2 health. And then when he inspires, he goes to 2 damage on his Arcanaut Cutter, which is his sword. And then he also gains a dice on his pistol, but he gains a move and a wound. So, like, the dwarves by far go bananas when they get inspired.
I mean, that's four upgrades worth of
yes
move, right? So +1 damage, +1 dice, +1 move and +1 health.
Yep.
Yeah, and this guy. So the reason that this guy is important, right? And this is where I love GW and I love this game. This is what everyone would refer to as a dangle bro, but this guy's gonna die easy. He could score you martyred. But I'm going to tell you guys right now that this warband is set up for so much score immediately glory tech that it is vital that they added this character in, because if they don't, right, that character takes it to a 5 model warband, which is so important of who goes first on turn 1.
Yeah.
And that is going to be very critical when playing against this. Now, most people, when we play, we always let the opponent go first. Like, you go first, you do something stupid so I can attack you. These guys with their range, right?
Fine, just go ahead.
Yes, and then we're moving into the cards that they previewed, but like the headshot score immediately if a friendly player scores a critical hit on an attack action with a range 3 or 4. Well, guess what? Or with 3 or more, they all have range 3 attacks. So if you let them go first, and that's why having that 5th fighter swinging that in most warbands' favor, that their other warbands going to have choice. Like, yes, thank you, GW, for putting an extra character that allows a little balance to this warband. So, So headshot, Trey. Sorry, I spoiled a little bit, but that glory or objective is amazing. So
it's all good. So the cool thing about this particular, this objective reads: score this immediately when a friendly fighter scores a critical hit with an attack action with a range of 3 or more. It's 1 glory, score immediately.
Yep.
So
which is your inspire mechanic, because you need that glory.
Exactly. You need that glory, or you need to score the objective to get your guys inspired. The beautiful part about this is you have 2 fighters out of the box with cleave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't even need to do damage. You just need a critical. You just need a critical roll.
I know. But we're getting to something else though. So let's say that you have this and you have wood armor in your deck.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You've now inspired 2 fighters off of 1 shot.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So and to me, and I mentioned something to Jerod earlier about this, but like if you put like Butcher's Eye on on the guy that has the Gatling gun, and then we'll get to his other thing that I think would be really good together. You can do this, and if you score a critical, because you've got 3 dice, so you're fishing for a crit anyway. You fish for a crit, you get the crit. Now you've got 1 armor and you've got headshot off of 1 activation.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So there's some cool interactions there.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I get that, and that's amazing. Like turn 2, but I look at it turn 1. Like turn 1, I deploy. Well, first off, I draw my cards and I know what I have. Do I have what's armor? So like we'll get to the glory tech, right? So what you're gonna want in this warband is what armor, right? Get the hints, because we have so now we have knockback and we have cleave. Yep. You're gonna want these 2 score immediately that they previewed, the headshot and focus fire, which just for everyone's sake is score immediately, and if the 3rd different friendly fighter makes an attack action with a range 3 or more targeting the same fighter. Well, guess what, folks? All these range 3 fighters, their attacks do 1 damage. Mm-hmm. So like they're still gonna be there, and that's a score immediately. That's not like most of these charge glory objectives that we get, where it's like score in the end phase, or charge 4. Like it is score immediately. So bam, I have a headshot, and then I either have cleave or I have knockback. So that's 2 on turn 1. Then I can have 3 on turn 1. Like it is just so much. And then I think you throw.
So something that's critical about focus fire is it says makes an attack action, not makes a successful attack action.
Just make an action.
It doesn't say.
All
it
you
does
have to do is
say
roll the
succeed.
dice.
Yep.
You just have to do the damage.
You have to declare you're doing an attack action. So whether that's a charge or a regular attack, it doesn't matter. If you do it with 3 fighters, it's exactly the same thing as all the charge with 3 fighters cards. You don't have to connect. You just have to charge with 3 fighters. But this is way less restrictive.
Yeah.
because this allows you to get into those extra activations with those fighters and not be as constrained as the more melee focused aggro warbands are.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so good.
Super
and then,
good.
Then you throw in, so we have what armor, the knockback, these 2 other score immediately's, so that's 4 score immediatelys. Throw in keep chopping, and I know that they're only move 2, but with a threat range of 5, I'm probably going to be able to do, 4 attack actions in a turn. So okay, there's another 2 change of tactics. That's the only one that doesn't flow in unless you have card tech, because then how do I do all my attacks?
Right.
With not, but whatever, we'll have change of tactics in there. So then that scores me victory after victory very easily.
Yep.
And then, oh wait, now I have escalation as well. Like, holy cow, turn 1.
You've scored 6 glory.
Yeah, it's just
because you've killed that fighter, because you've attacked it with all your range 1 or your range.
Yeah.
Range.
Hey, whether you've killed that fighter or not. Yeah. I think you still got
scored 5
glory, right?
You've scored 5 glory. Well, no, because victory after victory is 2. So yes,
escalation is 2.
Yeah, you'd score 3.
Yeah.
Or you scored 6 of them. But so you've also got to think too. Keep chopping doesn't have to be a different fighter. So the next card we're about to talk about, which is rapid reload.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reaction after this fighter's athermatic volley gun makes an attack action in a round. First attack action, right? First athermatic volley gun. So you get to do this one time. Per round. They get to make an additional attack action with that weapon. So you can activate 3 fighters and still have a 4th fighter that could do something else, and you still get to score keep chopping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it says 4 or more.
Yep.
So there's some really cool interactions with these guys and their score immediatelys, and even if to me, Strong Start is a great card to put into that deck too, because with all the different tools that you have in your toolkit, you're probably going to get 2 glory or 3 glory in that first round.
Yeah, yes. If you are going first, knowing how the way that you can place your fighters with what is in your hand, I think that this is an easy 3 glory minimum turn 1 faction.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. And so we're going to get to some of the ploys now that they've kind of released, which I'm super, super jazzed about. Time charge.
Oh my gosh, it's the best.
It's so cool. It's probably not the most useful, but it's cool. Reaction after a friendly Draxskewer's move action that begins adjacent to an enemy fighter, roll an attack dice. On a roll of a hammer or a critical, those enemy fighters each suffer 1 damage. So you basically just drop a bomb as you're floating over them.
Yeah.
Super, super cool.
Dropping bombs and walking away.
But I think that this kind of plays into the whole idea of the warband, which is it's not going to hit you with these super hard attacks like Malog or Magor or whatever. It's going to nickel and dime you to death, and it doesn't necessarily have to do it all in the activation phase. It can also do some of this stuff in the power step too.
Yep.
And then the one that I really, really like in conjunction with the leader himself is toxic gases. So choose an enemy fighter. That fighter must make a choice. Either that fighter suffers 1 damage or you push that fighter up to 2 hexes. So imagine the scenario that I talked about before where you've got that whole corner blocked off, right? So you've got all these lethal hexes just kind of sitting everywhere. You have a fighter that's charged into you. You've turned on your lethal hexes, and now it's not the power step right after, but the one immediately after that.
Yeah.
So you've had a turn, and it's still technically the next activation phase, right? So you can present this to your opponent and say, you can either take a damage or you can let me push you.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to push you, I'm going to push this fighter through some lethal hexes. So you're either going to take 1 damage or you're going to take 2 damage.
No,
so
they won't take 2 damage because it's on that
It's only in the action phase.
It's only in the action phase. But to your point, what you're trying to accomplish is you're making them make a choice of having to come through those lethal hexes.
Yeah. Well, and the whole idea for that, to me, the whole idea for that fighter's ability is to deter somebody from wanting to come in and attack you.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
So you're going to have more resiliency just from having that ability, because one of the other things that I thought about was putting Blessing of Argentine on this fighter, right? So you activated your ability. It's the opponent's next turn. They charge you. They have to take a damage. They deal damage to you, and now you can activate Blessing of Argentine as a reaction. Right. Blessing of Argentine allows you to take a damage. Like it allows you to choose that fighter and have them take a damage. So they've taken 2 damage just from fighting you.
Yep.
If they're a 4 damage fighter, they really have to be worried, because now your next turn is going to come up. You have cleave on your weapon, and you have a 2 damage weapon. Like, there's just so many different cool little tools that I think are in this faction that are going to make them really interesting to play and make them really gratifying for me, because they're a lot different than the way that I normally would play, but I'm super excited about them.
Yeah, Blessing of Argentine is really good thought there. I did not think of that one before, and that being a 5 damage fighter, like, that's really good. The cool thing that I like about Toxic Gases, it's like, once again, it's now a gambit that gives you a choice. Like, and the cool thing is it's not like within 5 hexes, within 3 hexes. Nope. It's choose an enemy fighter, and then you make a choice. And, going back to the troll that will not be named, like, okay, you want to take a damage or allow me to push you, and it's 2 hexes, which may save somebody, right? Like,
it might push you far enough back where you're not going to be in threat range anymore. So, like, it's just such a great utility card. Like, I almost think that I'll always have that particular card in my deck.
Oh yeah,
just for the choice mechanic alone. Like, it's just a straight damage card, or it's a great board manipulation. It's a better confusion.
Yeah, it's a great card.
It's a better Raptor Strike / Encroaching Shadows / what's the take a damage?
It's 2 or 3 cards wrapped into one.
Yeah,
like
it is. It's do you want to take it, like you said? Do you want to take a damage and allow my nickel and dime warband to be that much closer to killing you, or do you want to not be able to charge me this turn? What do you want to do?
It's Toxic Gases. Literally pick your poison.
Yeah. And then you also have the final ploy that we'll talk about, which is Protect the Boss. Choose a friendly fighter and push them up to 2 hexes so that they are adjacent to your leader. So one of the things that you're gonna do with this warband, like, you're not looking to get across the midline. Like, that's not the goal, right?
You don't have to.
So, advancing strikes in play, because you don't have to move. It just says take an enemy fighter out that's in there and in enemy territory. So you can stand across the line and kill somebody, and you score an advancing strike. But you also, with this particular card and with some other cards, like, Well Guarded is totally a great objective to put into your deck, because you can buddy up, and then you don't take damage. Even if your boss puts the lethal hexes down, you don't take damage because it says enemy fighters.
Right.
Yeah, well, you'd have to move through it too, but once again, you're stealing all this, like, guard tech, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well guarded? No, and in having played dwarfs in season 1, any tech that allows you to push and move your guys is really good stuff. You need that.
Yep. One other thing that I thought of earlier today, which was, I think, is some really good and some good tech that's not really widely used, is Flickering Image. So you have your Gatling gun inspired, right? Your Gatling gun's inspired. He's rolling 4 dice every time he rolls. He rolls a critical. He hits something, and now he gets to push himself 2 hexes, so he can reposition to get into a better shot for the next round without having
fall
to
back. That's
super good.
Very good, because you're rolling 4 dice. Don't forget about that objective, that roll 2 criticals. Don't forget about it.
Well, I might roll one. I won't roll two.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that this warband in particular is going to take some getting used to on my part, just because I'm going to have to play a little more cagey, which is fine. Like, I need to learn to play a little more cagey, quite honestly. But I'm super excited to get into the weeds on it, and I think you guys are going to be really excited to help me deck craft too. So it's going to be fun, and I've decided this is what I'm taking to Nova. Like, hell or high water, this is what I'm taking to Nova.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's gonna be my try hard paint project. It's gonna be display board. It's gonna be everything. Like this.
Wait, does that mean I get my Moloch's models back?
It does.
Yes.
Not that you're gonna play them.
No, that's true. I won't.
He who shall not be named. But I'm super excited about these guys. One, because I've just really loved the aesthetic of the steampunky kind of dwarves. They kind of scratch an itch that doesn't really exist in Age of Sigmar for me, like models wise. I like robots, and this is just a really cool like dwarf robot hybrid. So,
yeah.
But I appreciate you guys talking through this with me. Like, I'm excited to get some games in with you guys and see where they go. I'm really excited to see what they release tomorrow, because this is being recorded the night before. They usually do the GW live stream where they reveal more cards. So I'll be squealing like a little girl tomorrow.
There'll at least be an article highlighting some of the universal cards too. So
yeah, and they also do the live stream too, where they kind of reveal more than what are on the website. So I'm excited to see what they do.
I need them all, and I need them all now. If our listeners could not tell, I am extremely excited about everything, even though I'm not going to play either of them.
Yep.
Well, I think you're just excited to have some different warbands and just try some different stuff, and you're more excited probably about just the generic cards in general, Jason.
Yeah. For me, and this is what hooked me in 40K, and we talked about a little earlier about knowing all the rules interactions for a game, and that's why Underworlds is like just my drug of choice right now, because I get to do all this theory crafting and deck crafting, and it's in a digestible format that allows me to do it for all the warbands. Like, it's like, I have this deck and I have that deck, but I still play my Godsworn Hunt, and I still play my Guard, and I go back to the tried and true that I love, but it allows me to just get in there and think of this. In this warband, like I think Jerod's warband is perfect for his playstyle, but this warband has so much potential for score immediatelys, which you love, Trace. Yeah. And for me, the reason I like it is I think they would be awesome of that hybrid score immediately, and I'm going to sit here and play objectives and just bait the heck out of you. Mm-hmm. So bring it, boys.
Yep, I'm excited.
Well, in our continued unchainedness, our meanderings in the Shadeglass City, we're running long. So why don't we take a break here, and then we'll close out the show.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back. That rounds us out. So this was episode 5, our Unchained Cracked Glass. Danny, we miss you, but we don't miss you, but we miss you.
I'm happy to talk about Underworlds.
Yes, you are, Jason. Yes, you are. So just a quick thanks to everybody that's listening, everybody that's been engaging with us on Discord, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So if you're interested in sharing kind of what we're doing, one of the best ways to do that is to leave us a review on Facebook. So it's Battle Mallet Podcast. So Facebook, search for Battle Mallet Podcast will be the first one to come up. Leave us a review on iTunes as well. So Battle Mallet Podcast in iTunes. Leave us a review. And then, just engage with us. We have our Discord server. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. Trace, Jason, and I are usually in there. One of us is usually on at least one night a week each. And then, there'll be occasional nights where we're all on together. As we get closer to Nova, I'm sure that there will be many long hobby nights.
There will be.
To get, things projects finished up.
Painted and played.
Yep. So
deciding what commission artist to send all my stuff to.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my
We'll
gosh.
talk about all that. So and honestly, we want feedback. So Games Workshop does it. They did their survey. I'm not putting together a giant survey, but if you like what we're doing, give us a shout out. Message us on Facebook and let us know. And if there's something that you'd like to see us do that we're not doing, or something you'd like to see us do differently, give us a shout out there too. We like talking about this stuff. We're going to do it regardless, but if we can engage other people better, we're happy to do that as well. So I think that rounds us out. Any closing thoughts from anybody?
Just looking forward to painting some Sky Pirates.
Yeah, that's true. Pre-orders this weekend. That means we get them next Saturday.
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah. So
which would be in time for the which would be in. Well, no, we wouldn't be able to. Well, if we ordered it from a certain place, we would be able to get it before we potentially went to the
Barnyard.
The Barnyard Brawl.
I think Blake put out an announcement that if it wasn't out, then it wasn't going to be valid at the Barnyard Brawl. I think he put an announcement out this week. So the cutoff for content and things. Mm-hmm. But that said, I haven't seen a way to buy tickets for that event yet. So I don't know. Maybe I'll reach out and we'll figure out what's going on there.
Cool.
So thank you all. Yeah. Thank you all for staying through this very, very long episode. We appreciate it.
Yep. And hopefully this won't be a regular occurrence. We want to try to sit around the hour and 20 mark, just to make it consumable and not feel like we're talking for forever.
And we're just 3 dads and a guy who can't defend himself right now.
Defenseless. Easy targets. So, for the Battle Mallet podcast, this is Jerod signing out.
This is Trace signing out.
Thanks again for joining us. And this is Jason Table Noob Murray. Peace.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. This episode of the Battle Mallet podcast was produced by me, Jerod Johnson. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
Man, everybody needs a piece of wood.
True story.